I personally also, again, over the last 10 years have stayed away from making public statements around price predictions. But what I can say is that Bitcoin really has established and differentiated itself from, let's say, the rest of the pack or whatever other digital assets we have. We've seen a significant change in terms of institutional adoptions with a lot of institutions, but also corporates starting to use Bitcoin as a treasury asset. MicroStrategy obviously has been at the very forefront, but many others are emulating. We have nation states that are starting to discuss, well, how can we create a Bitcoin strategic reverse? It's obviously most notable in the US, but I can tell you there's various other nation states that are talking and thinking this through. Some more public, some also less public, which sort of makes sense. There's also some game theory at play. And so I would say if this is to unfold, the long-term, mid to long-term outlook for Bitcoin and also the Bitcoin price, I would say is very positive.
Yeah, indeed. But the thing about crypto, as we know, is that it is very, very volatile as well. And something that does concern some economists is the fact that the sort of run that we've seen with Bitcoin has very much been tied to the US president, the election cycle as well. Is there a risk, do you think, that this could be a bubble, like what we saw back in 2021, that it could burst? And how is Sygnum placed to try and, I guess, alleviate any of that pressure should something like that happen?
Yeah, so there's a number of answers I can give you. First and foremost, yes, it's correct that the adoption of blockchain Bitcoin, but also more broadly the ecosystem, comes in waves. It typically comes with narratives. It's very emotionally driven. Things like the emergence of the US completely changing its stance obviously was driving the price up significantly. It has short, mid and long-term implications. I do believe very strongly that the US will now put in place a regulatory framework that is understandable and players know what they're supposed to do and what not, which is very different from the previous regulation by enforcement approach. So the long-term outlook remains very positive. It's also true that this cycle so far has been driven by Bitcoin, but also then meme coins. And meme coins are maybe even better to explain that obviously there's booms and busts. We have just in the last few days seen the busts, what happens if one maybe exaggerates a bit too much with the meme coins. So this is not new. It's typical of 4-year cycle. So I don't want to now predict that will be a massive burst, but I certainly always also tell the team that we operate independent of this cycle, and in Sygnum specifically, the products that we have is some products they work better in risk-on environments, others in risk-off environments. So we are ready for whatever happens.
You're ready for whatever.